What is up, interneters? It is the Ninja Nick 333 back yet again with it looks like top 8 now, I believe, is coming up for the San Diego Pokemon Trading Card Game Regional Championships. It looks like from the stream here, they revealed what the top 8 was. So we've got Makani Tron, Grant Shen, Nathan Ginsburg, Gibson Archer Tang, who we just saw in the last round, beating my boy Nick Moffitt. Darren O'Mara, this guy is actually really good. I was in top 8 contention of one regional. I think I had to win my last 2 rounds, and he beat me in the second to last round. And then I proceeded to win the last round. So I was 1 win off. This is the guy that I bricked against him 2 out of the 3 games, and it was also a bad matchup. I was playing Zorark Garbodor, and he was playing Zorark Lycanroc, so much more favored. He's less item reliant, so the Garbodor doesn't really do anything in that matchup, and then he can hit me for weakness. So yeah, but we had one of the games was very, very close, and then but I ended up squeaking it out, and then the 2 games that he won, I just completely bricked, and I was very upset. I would have been fine bricking 1 game, but anyway, I digress. Then we got Alex McNeil, and then I'm kind of blocking these, but you can see Pablo Meza here, and then Ryan Harris to close out the rest of Top Cut here. So yeah, I think that Moffitt probably would have made it if he did do the ID. Him and, let's see, so Gibson, I don't think, so let's see. So Gibson just got 3 points off his last win, right? So that would put him at 32, so he would have been at 33 points. So yeah, I guess it was a very risky ID. So if Moffitt was also at the same point total, I think that they wouldn't have been able to ID in. So yeah, they did have to play that match out. So that was very unfortunate that Moffitt's winning and happened to be a blowout like that. Also, shout out to Puka. Missed having him on the stream. Since I'm doing this now, not listening to the commentators that they have there officially. Don't really get to listen to him, unfortunately, though. But as you can see, this is what a regional championship looks like. It's much more packed day 1, but this is day 2. So you see a bunch of seats are cleared. This isn't, I don't even believe that this is the actual play area. I think this might be side events. And then just like randoms. But yeah, you see Masters top 8. So we're going to skip over to that and see exactly where we are at. Looks like this is the bracket breakdown here. Makani, so you always have first seed versus 8th seed. So you'll have first versus last, second versus 7th, third versus 6th, etc. So that's how it plays out in the single elims. So you got, these are the matchups here in case you are interested. Are they gonna show what all the decks are? I don't think they are. I'm gonna have to pull up the Twitter thing that shows what all of the top 8 decks are. But while we're doing that, we're gonna get this set up. So it looks like we have Grant Shen here on the left, top 32 at Arlington, and then back in 2020 when he was a senior, won regionals in St. Louis and San Diego, and then got finalist in Worlds, 2nd place at Worlds in 2019 in seniors as well. So a very storied senior aging up into Masters. We see this all the time. People like to say that juniors and seniors don't matter, and while I would argue that juniors doesn't matter, seniors does, because a lot of these players from the past, like I'd say 5 years or so, that have been aging up from seniors have been destroying Masters. It's crazy how like they keep consistently performing. No, I want to see. So they have Pablo and his LAIC Streamcaster as an achievement. And then, of course, he's done really great at a whole bunch of different world championships. So Pablo's a very storied player as well. He's been playing for a long time. He has many different accomplishments at regionals and nationals and worlds and all that sort of stuff. He is probably one of, if not the best player in all of Mexico. So probably one of the best players in all of Latin America, potentially. Although there's a lot of good players in Brazil, and I think that's all considered Latin America. So Yeah, it looks like the prize cards are not super relevant. We see one Duraludon prized. Usually Duraludon only plays a 2-3 line of Duraludon using the Mustard supporter card in order to get a Duraludon VMAX out of your deck for free. So we're going to see if prizing the one matters. Usually you only want to go for 2 Duraludons during a match anyway, so it probably isn't going to match, but isn't going to matter, but we'll see. We'll see. So we see it looks like Pablo goes first. He's going to start with the Rayquaza and a Battle VIP pass. So we already saw Pablo on stream before. In day one, he is going to be playing this Rayquaza Lost Box. For those who missed that round, the way Rayquaza Lost Box works is they play a whole bunch of different colors of basic energy, generally a three line of grass and water, along with 2/2/2 of metal psychic fighting a majority of the time. So you very much need to be aware of where your energy is, whether they're located in the prize cards, the lost zone, or the discard pile, or the deck. You need to keep track of where all of them are at all times. So on your first deck search, it is 100% necessary to check to see which energies are prized, if you even can get a deck search first, because sometimes you just have to go in blind with Comfey without being able to have a deck search if you don't already have Battle VIP Pass or Quick Ball. If you have one of those in hand, you definitely 100% want to be playing those. And we do see the standard Comfey Radiant Greninja grab off of the Battle VIP Pass. That is pretty standard. Also, I'm going to pause real quick just because I do have the Poke stats up here. So these were the top 8 decks. We got Makani Tron versus Ryan Harris. So that's Arceus versus Rayquaza Lost Box. Then we have this is that really weird one that I thought was inconsistent that we saw early in the tournament. I think it was during the first streamed round 3. I'm surprised that this went as high as it did, because that is a pile. It is just way too inconsistent to have that many different moving pieces. But anyway, Grant Shen, again, another deck that is very inconsistent. I'm surprised made it here is Duraludon. I mean, it's just good because it has special, it can stop special energy attackers, pretty much. Versus Pablo that we're seeing with another Rayquaza Lost Box. Then we have the standard Mew versus Lugia match. These are two of the best decks in the format here. And then we have the Vikavolt V that we saw in the previous round versus Gigas. Looks like that's what Darren's playing. So I mean, I'm rooting for Darren. Yeah, I think I'm rooting for Darren because I like Gigas. I think Gigas is the best out of all these decks. I'm just hoping that it doesn't hit that Duraludon, because it cannot do it. It 100% auto loses to Duraludon. So if you think you're worried about playing against Gigas, that you just play Duraludon, man. Just do it. Just play Duraludon. So we see the air balloon of the Rayquaza being able to retreat into that Comfey. We're going to flower selecting. Looks like we're going to choose to get rid of that Sableye. That's probably fine. Especially since you get to conserve that Raihan, get that into your hand in case you get knocked out. You're not going to get knocked out on this following turn, because the most that Grant can do on his first turn is Trinity Charge. But that is the most important thing that you want to be doing with Arceus. On your first turn, you want to get an energy attachment. If you are going second, that energy attachment specifically has to be a double turbo so that you can use Trinity Charge. He's going to have to search out one of his Duraludon Vs, get it onto the bench, then use Trinity Charge to load it up with 3 different energies. Usually 1 fighting, 2 metal is the standard. Looks like he does start with that Duraludon in his hand as well, so that is perfect. So Pablo off to a pretty decent start, but Grant is off to the perfect start as well. All we need is that double turbo. I don't know if we have that yet. We are going to see another Ultra Ball. Looks like he's going to go for a second Arceus V. I'm a little surprised at that. I would be thinking that you would either go for another Duraludon V, but he does have that prized, mind you. Or just not go for it at all and try to get the Mustard play off with a Starbirth on the next turn. because you could always get something like Ultra Ball and Mustard, and then Ultra Ball to help thin out your hand, so that then you can play the Mustard. But yeah, a little surprising to go in. So this game is going to be 2 Arceus, 1 Duraludon. I think that Duraludon can easily be one-shot by the Rayquaza. So it's going to be a very tricky matchup for Grant, because Pablo is playing only basic energies. So this Duraludon is just not very good in this matchup. But also it has the most HP, so it's what you have to go for. So we do see the double turbo energy was in hand, so we got that down. We got that Trinity charge. Doing exactly what I said. 2 metal, 1 fighting. We're seeing another flower selecting. This time we're going to get rid of the amazing rare Raikou. I think that is perfectly fine to get rid of. You want to be attacking with your Rayquazas in this matchup. The Raikous don't do very much of anything. I think we saw previously from Pablo's other match that he's playing 2 Raikou in his list along with the 2 Rayquaza, which is a new addition. Usually it was only playing 1, and as you can see, it was on the bottom of the deck right there. He's moving that Comfey up, though. He is deciding that he might want to go for that. He's also eyeing up the Oranguru as well. So yeah, going for that Comfey. Oh, nope, changing his mind. He hasn't shuffled his deck yet, so you can always change your mind if you haven't shuffled your deck yet, because the last thing that you do on a deck search is shuffle your deck. So you technically have not completed it until you've shuffled, but once you do shuffle, if you go back into looking at the deck because you wanted to prize check for something that you forgot about, that's DPL right there. So yeah, still deciding on going for the Comfey, and then playing, it looks like Escape Rope. Yeah, so Grant's deciding what he wants to put up. It looks like we're gonna go for the Arceus V, the naked one we'll call it, because it has no energy at all on it. Just to absorb some damage, I guess. You don't want that Duraludon coming up too early. So I think that's correct. It's very unfortunate, but I think that's correct. You could always attach another double turbo to that one and then hard retreat it into the Duraludon, so we'll see. You're also going to want to have boss's orders for that Rayquaza. You want to make sure that those Rayquazas get out of play as soon as possible. Looks like Pablo's off to a very slow start. He hasn't seen a single Colress yet. He's relying just on this one Comfey every turn, really. He had the Escape Rope to be able to use a second Comfey, but he's used 3 Comfey abilities over 2 turns, and that's not really great. That's not what you want to see, personally. So we do see the Starbirth come out. He had the Arceus V-Star in hand, so we are going to be able to see 2 cards be searched out. It looks like he's eyeing up Switch, Escape Rope, and Boss. He's deciding which switching option he wants to use. Yeah, so he's definitely taking the Boss. I think you go Escape Rope, personally, because Pablo will probably just put up the other Comfey. He's going for Switch. It doesn't really matter either way. Yeah, your switching option doesn't matter. So he's going to switch into the Duraludon. Oh, actually, he's going to switch into the Arceus. He's going to attach for turn. And Boss's orders the Rayquaza so that gets obliterated. And yeah, he's going to Trinity Charge. I think this is actually more correct than going in with the Duraludon, because then this way he can charge up the second Arceus V as well. And then he has 3 attackers in play. So he has this whole prize map. Looks like he is attaching... He's only attaching 2 metal to his benched Arceus. And then he's... actually, no, he's attaching 1 metal to his benched Arceus, 1 to his Duraludon, 1 to his active Arceus V-Star. So as you can see, he's actually setting up for Hyper Potion plays right now. So Pablo, without those Rayquazas, is actually unfavored in this matchup. But with the Rayquazas, he's favored. So as long as Grant can keep bossing those things down before Pablo can get them fully charged up, yeah, because he's going to have to take essentially 3 knockouts with just Rayquazas. He might be able to take a cheeky knockout on the Arceus V at some point. But he's likely going to have to knock out both the Duraludon VMAX and the Arceus V-Star with Rayquaza. So now that 1 is already down, he should have 1 left in deck as long as it wasn't prized. And he'll have to like double Mirage Gate to it and then attach for turn in order to have enough damage output, I believe. So we're going to see. We have a Raihan putting the fighting energy onto the Comfey and searching the deck for a card. And we're going to hard retreat into the Comfey to use Flower Selecting a second time this turn. We're going to get rid of the Ordinary Rod. That's kind of scary, but he does have another Ordinary Rod in his hand, so plays another Escape Rope, forcing that Duraludon VMAX up. And he might be just hitting with the Cramorant. Yeah, so it looks like he is. Oh, so he put less damage than is actually done to the Duraludon on it, and Pablo questioned it, but that's because he has the Crystal Cave, which allows him to heal 30 damage from every Metal and Dragon Pokemon that he has in play. The basic Duraludon Vs are Metal, the Duraludon V Maxes are Dragon, so it is able to heal either one of those if either of those are in play and damaged. So that is what he's going for. Pablo's going to have to try to find a way to replace the Stadium or Lost Vacuum it away. I'm not sure if Pablo is even playing Stadiums in that deck. I don't know if it generally does. But we will have to see. That is limiting his damage output, essentially, since there is now a way for him to constantly heal that VMAX. We're going to see the Escape Rope yet again, just trying to use these Comfeys. Pablo finally has, I think, 7 cards in the Lost Zone now, so he can start using Mirage Gate, but we still don't have a Rayquaza in play. So I do see the Raikou, and he finally gets a Chorus's Experiment. That's great. So we're going to definitely get rid of that Battle VIP pass, and then what else? I mean, he's stuck between choosing an Energy or the Quick Ball, I think, because you want to. I think you want to keep that Chorus for next turn. Yeah, it looks like he's going to get rid of the Quick Ball. I think you're okay with going in with the Raikou attack this turn. You can hit into this Arceus and then soften up the Duraludon on the bench, or you could soften up the other Arceus V on the bench, and then that way you have 3 things that you want to heal simultaneously, and 2 of which cannot be healed by the Crystal Cave as well. So it softens them all up for potential Rayquazas in the future, and we do see yet another Escape Rope, putting up yet another Comfey. So it looks like Pablo still doesn't have what he needs in hand. He must be still looking for a Mirage Gate. It looks like he has at least 1 in hand. He also has the Rayquaza and the Raikou. Looks like Lost Zone's the Cramorant. Doesn't need that anymore to keep the Quick Ball. Finally puts that Rayquaza down. We're going to see if we can one-shot or finish off this Duraludon VMAX now. Yeah, so Pablo's really thinking methodically about this. I think his start was so super slow, he's not sure like what his game plan is currently. Looks like he's going to go for the Ordinary Rod now. He's going to shuffle in that Rayquaza and a Cramorant. Yeah, I think that you go for it now because maybe you don't have enough of the energies that you need in deck to attack with the Rayquaza, so just use it now. It would have been preferred to save it for another turn when you can recycle both Rayquazas into the deck with the Ordinary Rod. Especially since you already Lost Zoned one of the Ordinary Rods. So now these are your only 2 Rayquazas that you have access for to the rest of the game. We do see the Mirage Gate gets 2 energy onto the Rayquaza. He does have an energy attachment for turn in hand, and he has, it looks like maybe 2 more Mirage Gates. Yeah, he does. He has 2 more Mirage Gates in hand. So he should definitely have the knockout with this Rayquaza this turn. The question is going to be, it looks like he does have Energy Recycler in deck as well, so it's definitely possible that he will be able to, yeah, it's definitely possible that he will be able to take the knockout this turn and then have a follow-up Rayquaza next turn, as long as he has enough Mirage Gates. He's going to ping with Zigzagoon. Oh, that damage might matter. So he's at now 90 damage remaining. Or 90 damage on him. And then the Rayquaza with 3 energies does clear off the rest of the Duraludon for, I'm assuming, an exact knockout. I'm not feeling like doing the math right now. Again, I was a math major, but I don't do math anymore. Yeah, so it's 80 times 3 is 240 plus 90. So that's... yeah, that's 330 exactly. So yeah, that Zigzagoon was perfect math to make it so he needed 1 less energy. So yeah, perfect play by Pablo there. Because that also allows you to conserve energy resources. That means you can conserve 1 more Mirage Gate to be able to be used on the next turn. Looks like the Marnie does come out from Grant. Pablo did pretty much have everything he wanted in his hand except the Energy Recycler. And here we see he gets the Energy Recycler and a Quick Ball to search out that other Rayquaza that's in his deck. So this Rayquaza that's active is probably going down this turn. Also looks like Grant might be able to Mustard this turn potentially. He has the Mustard in hand along with an Ultra Ball and a Quick Ball. Yeah, I think he's going for the Mustard play this turn, except the problem is if he goes for it the way where he Evo Incenses for... yeah, he has to not Evo Incense for the Duraludon because he has to have it in deck to Mustard, and it looks like Grant's just scooping now. I am a little surprised that he's going for the scoop now. I think that you still could have played that out. Pablo has 3 prize cards remaining. You could set up the Duraludon on your bench and then go in with the Arceus and then just try to run Pablo out of resources because you know that he has to be forced into attacking with Rayquaza. Oh, and it looks like Pablo scoops. Oh, Grant won game 1. Yeah, Pablo scooped. Okay. Yeah, I think Pablo knows his hand is too dead. So he's like, you're going to do a Mustard play this turn? Yeah, I can't win now. And then gave it to Grant. So that was very interesting. That was still anybody's game, potentially. Pablo could have top decked something good. He could use some Comphase to get going. But yeah, I think he was asking for a lot. Especially with that early Lost Zone of the Ordinary Rod and the fact that he had to use the other Ordinary Rod to only put 1 Rayquaza into his deck. Plus the early Rayquaza just getting knocked out without getting any value off of it whatsoever after investing a couple energy attachments to it. Pretty unfortunate. You see Pablo's not very happy right there. Come on, YouTube. Just wanted to skip ahead. So we see 1 Rayquaza, 1 Raikou in the prize cards, so only 1 of each attacker. The Rayquaza is also really high up in the prize cards, so hopefully Pablo's playing Hisuian Heavy Ball. He also prized a Colress, so that might make it so it's hard for him to get to a Colress early. Also, that Zigzagoon that we saw put in a lot of work with that math is also prized. So Pablo's prizes are not looking too good right now. At least they're varied. But it's still very unfortunate that he prized so many cards that are just good in this matchup. Looks like he is going to be able to draw at least 1 mulligan, though. Yeah. There we go. I skipped to the right part now. So we see Crystal Cave, Arceus. Oh, double Arceus V. That could matter. You definitely want to be starting Arceus V, so if you have 2 in your prize cards, it might be unlikely that he started with it. Yeah, it looks like he started Duraludon V. So he's going to have some sort of Ball Search in hand in order to be able to get that Arceus out. He also will likely have to leave this Duraludon active to get hit by something like a Cramorant. Before he can Starbirth for the switch card and start attacking with the Arceus V-Star. So this does give Pablo the opportunity to get going. Pablo is prize checking right now, checking to see if he has those Rayquazas active in his deck for him. as well as seeing which energy cards he prized, and he is taking notes of what those prize cards are. Again, very important to make sure you remember what your prize cards are, so that you don't make misplays later in the game, especially with a deck like this, where the energy counts are so important because you only play 2 to 3 copies of each energy, and Rayquaza sometimes needs 5 different colored energies on it. We do see the, after the Battle VIP Pass, to get the standard Comfey and Radiant Greninja that we all know and love, we are also seeing a Quick Ball discarding a Manaphy to get the second Comfey. Looks like he does start Raikou as well, so he may have prized one, but he does start the other one, so if he doesn't want to attack with that in this matchup, just because it is another attacker, he will have access to that. That'll be really good to spread damage onto the Arceus Vs, and to make and to essentially force Hyper Potions, to let Duraludons get softened up so that the Rayquaza needs less energies in order to do their attacks. This Duraludon VMAX deck can get very bricky hands very easily. It just relies off the sheer power of the Duraludon VMAX's ability to not be hit by Pokemon that have special energy attached to them. So if you're going against something like Lugia, you'll generally put a big Parasol on your Duraludon VMAX so that the Evital's effect of his attack doesn't knock it out, and then all of their Pokemon really can't do anything to it. It forces them to have the Lost Vacuum. It's also fairly decent against Mew. I think Mew is much too fast for it, though. It usually just knocks you out before you even get going, and even if you do start to get going, it can always get 2 Mew VMAX into play and copy it, the other Mew VMAX's Max Miracle, so that gets around it. So in my personal opinion, Duraludon VMAX is just too inconsistent of a deck, and it relies too heavily on just the ability that can be easily played around, especially with something like Path to the Peak, which Mew now plays. Even though you have a extremely favored matchup against Regis, because all they play is special energy, they play Path now, so as long as you can't replace the stadium, they're gonna hit you. And they can one-shot you with a choice belted Regigigas, so it's not the best matchup. So I'm very surprised that Grant went all this way, but you know, props to him for being able to take a deck like this and just do well with it. We are seeing the Chorus's Experiment, which is a very odd inclusion for a deck like Duraludon. But it is just draw 5 deep. You only get to keep 3 of them, but at least you get to see deeper than playing something like an Avery or a Bird Keeper, you know? Although those cards are still halfway decent in this deck. It's just the Chorus is better. You always want to see as deep as you can to make sure that you get to whatever piece you're missing in order to establish your board state. And then once you establish your board state, you just hope it stays there and you draw into your Hyper Potion double turbo combo so that you can just heal your guys for basically free. We also saw Pablo had a much better turn 1 this game than he did the previous game, but that could be due to the at least 1 mulligan card that he drew. Looks like he's also searching out for another Duraludon V. Looks like we're going to go for the double Duraludon V Max game. He does have the Arceus V in hand as well, so that's going to be benched at some point soon. Hopefully with a double turbo and a switch, if we can see that this early. But possibly unlikely, so we'll have to see. Oh, yep, there we go. So we have that, but do we have the switch card? No. Doesn't look like it. So we just need to see the, So this is where I'm talking about with the inconsistency with the Duraludon VMAX deck, is that you start Duraludon and you just kind of peter out. You have to start Arceus, and of course 2 of the Arceuses are in the prize cards. We do see the Chorus's Experiment from Pablo finally. He does Lost Zone the Grass Energy and the Sableye. The two energies that he have in the Lost Zone are the two that he's playing 3 copies of, I believe. Oh, he also Lost Zones a Metal Energy, though. And I believe he only plays 1 of that. So that could come up. You gotta do what you gotta do, though. So we're gonna see if he's able to still take this game, even with those things going into the Lost Zone like that. We also see the Scoop Up Net, recycling some Comfey action. And here's the Escape Rope. I personally would have put up that Arceus V. I would not have put up the Duraludon V. Because whether you're getting hit or not doesn't really matter. You just want to be using Trinity Nova as fast as possible. You're not going to have a follow-up attacker unless you use Trinity Charge or Trinity Nova. But maybe if he doesn't have... Maybe if his hand is completely dead, he just wants to use that Duraludon V that's active to stall until he can draw into like an Ultra Ball or something, or Evo Incense, in order to get into that Arceus V-Star. We do see the Raikou does come down. The Mirage Gate happens. We do have access to that other Metal Energy. Lost Zoning that first one doesn't matter too much, especially since we know Pablo plays at least 2 Ordinary Rod and 1 Energy Recycler. We are going to see the Training Court as well. Looks like he is getting a Grass Energy back. It doesn't look like he pulled that from the discard pile, so he must have had that off to the side for whatever reason. And then he is going to, of course, hit the Arceus. I think that that's perfect. So we are going to do 90 only to the Duraludon and then 120 to the Arceus V. The reason you play the Metal Duraludon as opposed to the Dragon Duraludon, so technically it doesn't match because the Duraludon V Max is the Dragon one. I think it's the only Duraludon V Max that's ever been printed is the Dragon one. But you're playing the Metal Duraludon because its ability says that it takes 30 less damage from attacks. So as you can see, potentially coming up mattering there, because that's now a 3-shot from the Raikou if Duraludon is active. So maybe Grant predicting that the Raikou is going to come down. We did see that Pablo started it, so maybe he's like, I know that Raikou is still in hand, so he's going to be forced to attack with that instead of the Rayquaza. So let me put up this Duraludon because I know it can absorb an additional hit that the Arceus would otherwise not be able to do. I'm not sure. The Duraludon might... I'm not sure if the Duraludon ability only works on active or if it works on bench as well. But we do see the VMAX evolve onto the bench Pokemon. And then the V-Star evolution of the Arceus as well. We are getting the Starbirth off too. So we are going to see 2 different cards. Probably, if he doesn't have them, he needs energy and a switch card. You definitely don't want to be playing Escape Rope. You specifically want to be playing Switch. So hopefully he's grabbing Switch. I know last game he was deciding which one he wanted to go with. And in that situation it didn't matter. But in this you want to leave the Raikou active. Looks like we're also VMAXing the active as well. It will technically be taking 30 more damage now than it would have otherwise if it hadn't evolved. But it's still better to get that bigger HP value. We are also seeing the Crystal Cave healing it off as well, so it now only has 60 damage. The Raikou goes down, and then the other fresh Duraludon is the one that gets charged up. So if we see something like Double Turbo Hyper Potion on the next turn, he could completely heal off that benched Duraludon. But even if we don't, as long as that Stadium stays in play, we can see it get healed down to having 30 damage remaining, and then on the next turn after that, getting healed completely. So, that math with the Duraludon V, the basic metal one, certainly is coming up. We see Pablo uses another Colress's Experiment, gets rid of one of those useless Battle VIP Pass since it's no longer turn 1. We're going to see the Radiant Greninja. It looks like Pablo's keeping his energy cards in a separate pile from his deck. That's actually technically illegal. You're only allowed to have one discard pile. So if you want to do something like that, you have to keep them in the same pile, but you could like turn them sideways or something. That's usually what I do when I play like Reggies, or like whenever I would be playing like dark patch decks, and back in the day, I would keep all my dark energy sideways at the bottom of my discard pile. But it looks like the table judges don't care about game state, so they're going to allow Pablo to have 2 discard piles. Yeah, he definitely has 2 discard piles. Because you saw him discard the fighting energy off to the side and then put Quick Ball in his actual discard pile. But we see the Cramorant get grabbed off of that Quick Ball, and then Pablo shuffles his deck and then looks back at it again, which is another illegal play. You already finished your deck search by starting to shuffle, so by going back into there, that should be like a DPL. Alright, sloppy play from Pablo in this game. But we see the Cramorant just doing a whole bunch of damage to this Arceus V-Star. Unfortunately, not enough to take the knockout. We are at, let's see, it's 120, 230. Yeah, it's 230 damage so far, so it's left with 50 remaining. I mean, that could matter if Grant can't get to the Hyper Potion. Pablo can potentially go in with the Sableye and finish that Arceus off and start loading damage onto a Duraludon. And as we see, like I said on the previous turn, we do have that Crystal Cave healing the bench Duraludon V Max more, and it's getting completely charged up from an Arceus V-Star as well. So perfectly fine that this Arceus V-Star is being left active, even though it has a whole bunch of damage on it. Because the game plan for Duraludon is always go in with 1 Arceus. Your opponent takes 2 prize cards. They go to 4 prize cards remaining. Then you force them to knock out 1 Duraludon, which you continuously keep healing. So then they go down to 1 prize card remaining, and then still force them to knock out another 3 prize Pokemon in another Duraludon VMAX. So, I mean, it's very perfect. You're essentially forcing your opponent to take 8 prize cards in one game. And that Crystal Cave, again, putting in so much work, completely healing off that 1 Duraludon that got hit in the active. And then he already has the double turbo Heart attached for turn to the other Duraludon VMAX, so that one is all ready to go for when he does draw into Hyper Potion if he does not have that already in hand. So yeah, I don't think that there's any world where Pablo can win this game. He really has to... What he has to do is he has to one-shot 2 Duraludons with 2 Rayquazas back-to-back after this Arceus is knocked out. So you'll probably want to... He does have 10 in the Lost Zone right now. He's going to want to attack with a Sableye this turn. He does have 1 in the Lost Zone. Looks like he is getting 1 off of this Raihan. His deck is very small right now. He only has 1 energy card in his deck. Looks like he's going for... I think that was Energy Recycler. I could be wrong. Oh, it was Escape Rope. So he's trying to force up one of the Duraludons so that he can knock it out with Rayquaza this turn, potentially. So hopefully he can do such a thing. Grant's going to put up the one with the double turbo in case Pablo doesn't take the knockout. He will be able to potentially heal it off with a Hyper Potion. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 energies in the not discard pile. So he's gonna put hopefully 5 of them back with that energy recycler. It looked like he was putting back 4. Yeah, he only put back 4. Why did he not put back the full 5? So he is using 2 Mirage Gates anyway. Now, how many does he need in order to take the knockout? So 160, 320. So he needs 5 energy in order to take the knockout. Otherwise, he needs 4 energy and Zigzagoon. So it looks like he's putting 2 fighting energy. So he's putting fighting and grass with 1 and fighting and metal with the other one. Just to clarify, because he's not putting grass and metal with 1 and 2 fighting with the other. That would be illegal. But yeah, very clearly that's how it's going on. So he is going to do that. It does have to... Yeah, it's 80 damage times each type of basic energy. That's not knockout? I thought Duraludon had 330. Hang on. Am I missing something here? One, two, three, 4 different colors. And it says, I know my head is blocking it. It says, discard all basic energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 80 damage times for each type of basic energy you discarded this way. So he discarded 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of basic energy. Let's look at Duraludon VMAX. I could be wrong. Maybe Duraludon VMAX is 320. Yeah, it's 330. If we pull up a calculator real quick. We have 80 times 4 is 320. So that's not a knockout. Pablo did not knock out that Pokemon. Yeah, so he only energy recycled 4 back in, and then put 2 of the same energy on it so that he would be 10 short, and then discarded the... Like, he should have just kept the 1 fighting on there if he was going to do it that way anyway. But any of Grant's Pokemon can just return knockout him. So I'm not sure what's going on with Pablo. Oh, no, it looks like Pablo is keeping it all in 1 discard pile. He does have the energies sideways, like I was saying. It just kind of looked like he wasn't, because it's off camera. So he's definitely doing that correct. But yeah, you could see it for like a fraction of a second. The energy pile does overlap with his deck. So technically that is 1 pile. Oh, I think the judges noticed that. I think the judges noticed that Pablo took a knockout when he couldn't. And then took 3 prize cards. He doesn't know what his own card does and he's in top 8. Oh yeah, I'm so glad they caught that. I'm surprised Grant didn't catch that. Yeah, if you're in top 8, yeah, Pablo's really mad. He got caught cheating. Yeah, I mean, Pablo had that knockout. He just had to energy recycle an additional different type of basic energy into his deck, right? Didn't he have like a psychic in his discard pile and he just chose to put 4 back with energy recycler instead of 5? Like, isn't that it? Like, I'm a little confused as to like why Pablo did that the way he did that. I'm fairly confident that there's a psychic energy in his discard pile that was not attached to the Rayquaza. Yeah, there was a psychic in his discard pile, because I can see it right here. I know it's very small, but you can see it right here that when he fans out the energy that he had in his discard pile, that he had a psychic. But when he had it on the Rayquaza, he didn't have a psychic. He had Lightning, Grass, Metal, Fighting, Fighting. So he could have Energy Recycled that Psychic back into his deck, because he only Energy Recycled 4. Energy Recycler says you can do 5 from your discard back into your deck. So Pablo just had to put that Psychic Energy back into his deck, and then put that onto the Rayquaza instead of the second Fighting. So Pablo messed up majorly for essentially no reason. I think that that's genuinely I don't know, man. I think maybe the not shuffling in the Psychic was an honest mistake, but then, I mean, it's very clear that he put 2 Fighting Energy on his guy. Unless Pablo's, like, colorblind, and he thought that that was a Psychic instead of a Fighting, because I could see that, but I don't think Pablo's colorblind. So anyway, we're just gonna see if we can skip ahead through the judge ruling and see what happens. If we can return to game state, because I don't want to make you guys... I don't want to waste your guys' time. Actually, it looks like I think Pablo's just going to have to be forced to... He either gets a game loss or he concedes. Because if we skip ahead here, they're trying to rewind game state or figure out what's happening. But honestly, after that here on the scrubbing, they're just signing the match slip. And then they go back into the casters. And then they show who won. So, yeah. Pablo punted. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this match. Yeah, it just goes right into Grant Shen winning. So yeah, I'm not gonna bore you guys with the details of the judge call there. But yeah. Hope you guys like the video. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Feed that delicious YouTube algorithm. I have my Ninja Nick V-Star markers out now, available. If you see me at Orlando Regionals, hit me up. We'll be giving those away. And yeah, we will see you guys in the next match, which is probably going to be top 4. I don't think they'll be doing 2 top 8 matches, even though they have in the past, but they generally don't do that. I think with the amount of time that's left in the video, it's just going to be 1 top 4 and 1. I don't know. Maybe it would be top 2. I don't know. We'll see. See you guys later.